Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to Beer Geek Nation. I'm doing something today, the start of a project today that I've been promising for close to a year now since I started doing this channel. This is the first video of a series of probably 3 or 4 videos that I'm going to do of basically grain to glass. This is going to be kind of the intro video. I'm going to go over some basics that you need if you're going to start home brewing. I'm going to go over the recipe that I'm going to be brewing, and I'm also going to talk about no-chill brewing, which is a new method that's kind of catching on in the States, but they've been doing it in Australia for 20 years now. 2 rules in my book for home brewing, at least for me, are keep everything extremely sanitized and clean, and keep everything organized. If you do that, you're going to be okay. Your beer will never get infected. Even if you screw up the beer, it's not going to be because of infection. It's actually because of something you did technically. So that's better than an infection. What do I use to sanitize? I use Star San. It's basically an ascorbic acid solution, so it's basically going to break down bacterial walls. You can buy it in big bottles like this. You're only going to use, there's actually a measuring cap right here that you squeeze out. You only use about 1 ounce per 5 gallons or so. Excuse me, 1 ounce per gallon. And what I actually do is I make up a spray bottle of it. I got this at like Walmart, this bottle. Make a dilution of it. There's actually a dilution list on here. So I always have Star San whenever I need it to spray down bottle caps or spoons or a refractometer if I need to put it in the beer. And it's great just to have around on a brew day, just in case you need to sanitize something real quick. You can just give it a shot of this and it's good to go. Star San, I highly recommend as far as a sanitizer. You don't need to wash it off things. You could actually take a shot of that if you really wanted to. It's food grade safe. You can drink it. It doesn't add any taste or anything to your beer. It's great for cleaning kegs. Specifically for that. Speaking of cleaning kegs, what do I use to actually clean my brewing equipment? Brewing can wreak havoc on metal and your pots, protein deposits, just caramelization, burnt, stuff on the bottom, burnt hops on the bottom of your kettles. Grains. It's just a mess. It can be a mess. What I recommend, and I've been using this for a couple years now, is PBW, which I think stands for powdered brewer's wash. It's basically like a fine powder. You add it. What I do the day before brew day, and it's actually sitting over there now, I get my hot liquor tun, my boil kettle, and my mash tun. I fill them up about halfway, so about 3 or 4 gallons of water. Put some of this in there, some really nice hot water. Put some of this in there, mix it up. I let it sit there for a couple hours, and that way, come brew day, I know there's no kind of weird stuff floating around at the bottom of that pot that's going to come off when it's heated up on the burner. So basically, I'm just preparing myself. Again, it comes back to cleanliness and organization. So that's one of the big things. I definitely recommend PBW. After you're done fermenting in carboys, it gets off the sludge, the trub around the top of the carboys really nicely. Just breaks it down. With that said, this is a little bit more expensive. I got the big thing. This is probably, I think this is close to 20 bucks for this, but this is going to last me probably forever. You could also use OxyClean. A lot of people do use OxyClean. You can do that. You just have to make sure you rinse that stuff off really well. This comes off. This is meant for brewing, so it rinses off really easily. OxyClean and the generic versions are bleach-based cleaners, so you have to make sure that you wash them off. Beer is 90-95% water, so you want to make sure you have the optimum kind of water in order to get the proper sugars out of your grains, and you don't want any crazy off flavors from too much chlorination in your water system. So what I recommend people do is to call your water authority. Get the pH. The pH is the most important. One thing you do need to worry about is the pH and chlorination levels. My water is really highly chlorinated for some reason, and my pH levels when I called them I think it was close to 11 something. The ideal pH for brewing is 5.2 pH. The first thing I recommend everyone gets, no matter what your water pH is the 5.2 pH stabilizer. Basically, it's a powder. Again, it's another powder. And you're going to put this in your water, in your sparge water, your mash water that you're going to run through your grains. It's going to mellow out the pH or increase the pH depending on where your pH lies to 5.2%, spot on. You can get it on More Beer, Northern Brewer, your local homebrew store. This bottle runs probably about $10, but again, you hardly use any of it, and it's going to just make your beer that much better. It's so simple to use. The other thing I have to use, and if you do have very chlorinated water, you can taste the chlorine, are these Camden tablets, which is potassium metabisulfate. Basically what it is you take one of these tablets, smash it up in a spoon, get it like a powder form, and put it into your water that you're going to run through to mash, or your boil water if you're doing extract kits. And what this does is basically binds to the chlorine in the water, creates this new chemical formation that's able to be evaporated off when you boil. So you put this in, you're not going to taste it, it's food safe and all that stuff, but it gets rid of that really kind of chlorinated taste. You can also get different water salts if you want to match like the British water style or a Belgian kind of water style. You can get different, they're called water salts. You add it into your water, it changes the pH and the protein content and all this stuff. So you can do that. One piece of equipment that I highly, highly recommend you spend some money on, a little bit of money actually, is a decent thermometer. So I've been recommending to people, and this was recommended to me, is the CDN digital thermometer. You can get this on Amazon for like 14 or 15 bucks. It is so quick, it is so accurate, and it's kind of becoming a homebrew standard for a lot of people. Something else I recommend that you use, if you like clear beer, not clear beer, but if you like your beer not to have that homebrew kind of murkiness to it, what you can do is buy these things called Warflock tablets, or you can also buy Irish moss, and they're basically the same. And what this is going to do, it's actually going to collect proteins as the beer ferments, and it's going to drop them out. So all that trub and everything is going to get, all that unused, unnecessary trub that's in there is going to get bound by the proteins in these caplets, and it's going to drop out to the bottom. It's going to create a clearer beer. So these are pretty cheap. This is $2 for an entire bag. So really good stuff. Highly recommend it. Irish moss you can also use. It's a little bit more messy though. Another thing to make your life a lot easier, get some paint strainers. It is going to make your life so much easier. I got these from Home Depot, but I know Lowe's carries them because I have some of those out there too. I get a 1 gallon paint thinner. They come in a paint thinner. I get a 1 gallon paint strainer pack of 2. This is like $2. I use this for dry hopping. For the actual brewing of the beer and the boiling beer, if it's a big like IPA that's going to 4 to 8 ounces of hops, I always get the 5 gallon ones because they hang real low. And you'll see when I do my boil, I actually have like a contraption I made out of PVC that the bag hangs over into the beer, and I just throw the hops into the actual bag. Once it's done, pull it out, tie it off, throw it away. You can wash these, but again, they're so cheap. I just recommend buying new ones just for make life easier. So I definitely recommend that. And I think that about covers everything you need. I'm going to take a sip of beer here. I'm going to be doing a beer I created about a year ago. This is a recipe I actually came up with right before my son was born. So I've been wanting to do this one. It's a real nice, clean IPA. I wanted to come up with like a house beer. It's real sessionable. I call it, the name of my brewery, I call it, it's Red 5 Brewing. Yeah, and if you know what that is, you're a dork too. So I call it the Simcoe Assault IPA, but I'm going to go down the list. I'm going to post it here. I'll put it up. I'll put it on Facebook again. But basically, I'm using 10 pounds of toro pale malt, which is basically just generic U.S. pale ale kind of malt, really big base, popular base malt. 1 pound of Munich malt, and that's going to add a lot of my kind of breadiness, slight breadiness in there. 0.65 pounds of caramel malt 20L, which is the color of the malt, and that's going to produce a lot of the color for the beer and mouthfeel. And then I'm going to use 4 ounces of Simcoe. And for this one, it's going to be real easy. It's going to be a Safe Ale US-05, which is a dry yeast packet. It's a California ale, so it's going to dry the beer out real nice. Those are cheap. I usually don't use dry packets of yeast unless I know it's going to be a simple beer, a real sessionable beer, real fast fermenting beer. And I really love the USO5. It's just a nice IPA, clean, dry finishing yeast, and it's really, really nice to work with. I'm looking at an estimated color of 6.4 SRMs. And I'm putting the chart up right now so you guys can see it. So it's going to be a nice kind of golden, light yellow, golden orange kind of color. But I believe it was like 5.9% alcohol. So it's, you know, it's a very sessionable item. So with the beer, all the equipment you need, one of the big catches to this video that I'm going to do that I haven't done before is the no-chill brewing. Basically, it's exactly how it sounds. You brew a beer. Once the 60 minutes of the boil is up, you're going to dump it right into a container. You're going to close that container up, let it chill for a day, get it down to, you know, room temperature, whatever, pitch your yeast, and you're good to go. And I'm going to show you what I got to do that in. This, my friends, is a US Plastics 7-gallon HDPE food grade container. With a lid, and it comes with a handle and everything. This is what people are using to do this with. It's HDPE, so it's, like I said, food certified. It can go up to 250 degrees, and you don't produce any off flavors with the plastic or anything. Because basically, you can brew a beer, not ferment. You know, don't put any yeast in it. You can store it in one of these containers for a few months if you really want to do that. So it is possible. I'm not going to do that. I'm just doing it to make my brew day go a little bit quicker. I'm actually going to ferment in this, which I think might be a little bit of a nightmare to clean afterwards, but you know, it comes with a cap. And all you need to do to ferment in this is you get a number 11 rubber stopper, or bong if you want to call it that. It's a number 11, actually fits right in the opening of these things. So you can see that there. And then I just get you get an airlock, and the airlock goes right in there. So, you know, a day after brew day or so, once this is down to, you know, 60, 65 degrees, you take the lid off, throw the yeast in there, put this on, boom, and you got yourself a fermentation vessel, and you've already cut out all that expensive equipment as far as brewing, you know, the plate chillers, and I've got that stuff. It's just a huge nightmare to hook up with the pumps and the hoses and everything, and it's winter and I don't feel like dealing with water, so I'm going to cut an hour out of my brew day. I'm going to try this. I've never done it before. There is a catch to doing the no chill brewing. The wort is going to stay hot for about 20 minutes longer than it would have if you were chilling it. So you're going to get a more bitter beer if you follow the standard procedure of, you know, your hop schedule. Once the beer goes into the vessel, it's going to continue to increase bitterness, increase aroma. It's going to continue to pull out isoenzymes from those hops. So what you have to do is basically bump up your hop additions by 20 minutes. And I have to give a huge shout out to the Pole on Homebrew Talk, who actually developed this schedule based on Australian brewers and everything he's read and all the chemistry and everything. Basically, it's a hop schedule, and I'll pop that up right here, leave it up for a while. So I had to basically go through and change a lot of my hop additions to this. So instead of a 60-minute bittering hop, I'm going to throw it in at 40. This recipe also called for adding hops at 15 minutes and 5 minutes, if I remember correctly. So as you can see on the chart, what I'm going to have to do is actually put those, you see it says FWH, that's first wort hop. Basically what I'm going to do is when I'm mashing out, or when I'm sparging, that 160 degree liquid that's coming out of the cooler, I'm going to put hops into the kettle while that's doing that. So it's going to get some of that aroma, it's going to get some of that flavor in there, and for some reason those hops do stay in the entire boil. Because of that initial kind of ramping up of heat temperatures, they don't increase bitterness in the beer. Hops that you're going to add at 5 and flame out, you're actually going to use as dry hopping. So you can see how that works, and if you're not careful, you're going to create an overly bitter beer by doing this no chill method. With that said, guys, I'm going to be doing the beer tomorrow. I'm going to show you start to finish what I'm going to do. I already have all the ingredients and everything, so I'm going to show you the mash, the boil, dumping it in here, and I hope I answer some questions. I hope I pique some interest. I hope I get more people into it. But yeah, with that said, guys, remember, life's too short.